What's up, everyone? I hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to talk about sub-Is, away rotations, audition rotations, whatever you want to call them. We're going to go through it. For those that are new here, my name's Hunter. I'm a fourth-year medical student. I'm currently applying to emergency medicine for residency, and I'm through interview season, so we're kind of just hanging out on winter break, and we're going to take you through a little bit of the application process. So today I want to talk about sub-Is, sub-internships, audition rotations, away rotations. Like, what the heck are they? In short, they're all the same thing. They're a month-long rotation in the specialty that you plan to do for residency at a place that offers that specialty as part of their residency programs. In many specialties, completing one of these rotations, the goal is to kind of impress program leadership as well as get a letter of recommendation from the specialty to include in your residency application later in the fall. It's also a chance to explore different areas of the country and different types of programs, different styles of teaching, and it can help you gain an understanding of what you might want in a residency program when it comes to apply. And for the residency programs, it allows them to evaluate how you would be as a resident in their incoming class. So the next big question is, how do you find them? How do you find these rotation opportunities? There's kind of three main places, and although I'm applying to emergency medicine, this kind of applies broadly to all the different specialties. So the main one that everyone's gonna talk about is VSAS or VSLO, VSLO. And I'm going to include here a clip of what the site looks like. This is what it looks like. I'm blocking out some of my home institution information and my AAMC ID over here, but broadly, this is what your dashboard is going to look like. You'll want to go to Find Electives. And when you do that, I would go and search for the specialty that you're looking for. So in my case, that's emergency medicine, and you can apply the filter and it'll show all of the emergency medicine options available. And if you go in and click on each one, it'll show you kind of the requirements that are needed for applying, as well as the dates that you can do the rotation. And then there'll be a little snippet here at the bottom kind of describing the rotation itself. Some of them are very specific and tell you exactly what to expect in the rotation, and others really aren't at all. So this site is a great tool to find different rotation opportunities if you don't already have some programs in mind. I would definitely kind of have in the back of your head where you might want to do residency or the type of program that you might want to attend, and kind of help that guide things. So one thing that's kind of special about VSLO is that programs aren't going to release the applications right away, and your school, I believe, needs to give you a token to get access to the site. So you won't be able to look at it right now when you're seeing this video unless your school has already granted you access. But once you get access, I would go in and start looking, and more than likely the programs are going to have the rotations from my class still posted, and you might be able to find the information within the site on when it will be released for next year to start your planning process. Another thing to note is that for every rotation that you apply for in VSLO, it costs $15, and that includes multiple applications to the same institution. If you're trying to do multiple rotations in different specialties, or just trying to get one, so you're applying to multiple, it's $15 per application. So just keep that in mind. One of the other options is what's called Clinician Nexus. So this resource I'm gonna pull up here is very similar, except you can look on a map for the rotations that you want to do. In this case, I would go through and select the specialty that you're applying to, and then within disciplines, you can select for specifically medical down here. So you don't want to do like a nursing rotation, or maybe you do if you want to do that for an elective, but specifically for sub-Is, OAs, auditions, you're going to want to collect this medical, and that will get rid of a few of the other options that are available here. And then you kind of just explore the same way. If you click on one, it'll give you more information about the institution and more information about the rotation itself and the requirements needed. This resource is actually free for all applications. Some programs might have a fee affiliated with it, but it's not through the website itself. So expect if you're applying through Clinician Nexus that it's free. There are fewer programs that use Clinician Nexus, but I want to say in my experience, it allowed me to get a rotation that I didn't feel I was competitive for, because it's a lot more tedious to get your account set up on Clinician Nexus, and that might just be a hurdle that other students aren't willing to go through to get into these rotations. There's much fewer on here, but if you're willing to go through the work, it might open some other opportunities for you. The last option for finding rotations is to research the residency programs that you're interested in and then go to their websites. And there's often a medical student section that will talk about away elective rotations for medical students, and it might say where you can apply for it, whether it be through VSLO, Clinician Nexus, or they might have an in-house application to fill out. So if there's residency programs that you're very interested in, I would go to their websites and see if there's any information about their rotations on their website. So the next question that you might have is, when do I apply and how do I apply? How is through any one of those websites. I'm going to include here on the screen kind of a list of the things that you need, but I'll also talk about it. So you're gonna want an updated CV, which is pretty self-explanatory. You're gonna need a proof of your step 1 or level 1 score, sometimes both. And this can just be a PDF format. It doesn't have to be a formal transcript from either organization. Just a PDF screenshot of your pass will be good enough. Not typically required, but in very few instances, there might be a letter of recommendation from an EM advisor required. In this case, it's not someone that you've even had clinical experience with. It can just be someone from your school, and they really just need to express your interest in emergency medicine. Next, the next two kind of go hand in hand: a proof of positive vaccine titer response, and then immunization record. This is just going to be the immunization record that you keep with your school. Make sure it's up to date. And I would use the AAMC standardized immunization form, which I'm gonna have linked in the description below so that you can fill that out. Every program will accept that as a form, and some require it. So if you just do it, it'll cover you for all the programs that you apply to. The next few things are things that you should just have on file for your school, which are proof of your BLS and or your ACLS certification, a certified background check and drug screen, an N95 respirator fitting, and then a professional photo. This might need to be updated from when you started med school and got a professional photo taken, so make sure to have a recent photo taken as well. And then every program is going to want a personal statement or letter of intent. And this can just be a 1-paragraph statement saying why you're interested in rotating at their program and potentially like why you're interested in that specialty. It doesn't have to be long. All of mine were 1 paragraph. And then the next question is like, how many applications do you need to submit? Now, I'm using a resource from EMRA to kind of put all this information together for you, and that resource says 5 to 7 applications for 1 to 2 invites. My personal experience through VSLO and Clinician Nexus, I filled out 4 applications and I got 4 rotations. So be kind of careful about how many you apply to, because you don't want to apply to, 20 programs and then start telling a bunch of people that you don't want to come rotate there because you're rotating somewhere else. Because then when you go to apply for residency there, it might leave kind of a sour taste in their mouth as far as you as an applicant and your interest in their program. So all of the items that I just listed, you should have readily available in a folder that can be uploaded in a very efficient way. I will say once you have access to VSLO, there's a documents tab within the application, and you can upload all of these without selecting any programs, and they'll just live in your VSLO dashboard. And then when you go to apply to programs, you can simply assign each document as it's required by the programs. The next question is going to be when to take boards, step 2, level 2 if you're on the DO side. And in my experience, I took them as soon as my preclinical work was over. We were done, I want to say early May, had a 2-week break, and then we were required to be back on campus at school for some in-person testing, practical information and things. And then during that week, we had to take a test that allowed us to sit for boards, and then I took my boards 2 weeks after that. So I took 2 weeks of our allotted vacation to study for and take both step 2 and level 2, and I did that on a Monday and Friday and just knocked them out. And I would recommend that. As soon as you are comfortable taking your board exams after your preclinical work is done, take them and get them out of the way, because trying to study while on these away rotations during your 4th year is just not going to be feasible, and it's going to be a lot more stressful. So just get them out of the way as quickly as you are comfortable in doing so. Obviously you want to get a good score and get a score that's going to be competitive for the specialty you're applying for, but try and get them done as quickly as you can. The rest of the information in this video might be applicable to some other specialties, but is mostly going to be applicable to emergency medicine. So if you made it this far, thanks for coming. Like and subscribe. See you in the next one. EM specific information. So, how many away rotations do you need? Everywhere you look is probably going to give you a different answer. Talking to many program directors, the answer is 2. You need 2 E-slowies, which we will talk about briefly later, during your application cycle through ERAS for residency. So, what that might look like is a rotation at your home institution and then 1 away rotation. Or if you don't have a home institution with an EM program, that's 2 away rotations. Now, you might get advice to do a 3rd, and this is really supposed to be reserved for extreme circumstances. If you have a red flag in your application and you just need that extra letter, but really 2 is enough. Any more than that, you start to get burnt out and maybe not perform as well. And these standardized letters of evaluation that you get from these programs are really good, and every program is going to kind of honor them and what is said in them. So if you perform really well at an audition rotation with one program, they're going to write it in your SLOE, and then other programs are going to trust that you performed as well as they said you would or did, and are going to want to interview you and evaluate you for their residency. Now, this is just talking about general EM rotations. You can do as many as you want in all of the different subspecialties. You can do pediatrics, you can do ultrasound, toxicology, EMS, critical care. I don't know what other schools are offering, but you can do as many as you want in subspecialties of emergency medicine. But as far as general EM, you want to sometimes 3. 3's not gonna like hurt you if you just go and do 3, but it's not necessary. So then the question is, where should you rotate? My experience was strictly, we had our baby during the middle of one of my rotations. We were trying to save as much money as possible, so all of my rotations were designed to be done with free housing involved. So they were in my home state of Minnesota, they were in Marin's home state of Nebraska, and we were able to stay for free, and we ended up having our baby, and everything worked out. So mine was strictly location-based, which also worked out because they were programs that I was very interested in attending, and still very much am. I've interviewed with all of them. But it's a great chance for you to experience the different types of program that there are in emergency medicine. So in EM, there's county programs, there's academic programs, and there's community programs. They all have different characteristics and things that make them special, and you'll probably find that a lot of programs kind of combine 2 or more of those, but you'll want to get experience in each of them. And figure out what you like and what you're looking for in a residency program. And it's also a great chance to explore different areas of the country and find out where you might want to live for the next 3 to 4 years or more if you're planning to do a fellowship. And now I just listed 3 types of program and said that you should only be doing 2 general EM. And what I did was 2 general EM and 1 ultrasound rotation. So I was still able to experience the 3 different types of EM program, but only did 2 general EM rotations. You should also really think about where you think your top programs that you're interested in are going to be when it comes to applying. Listening to a bunch of different APDs and PDs, they match a large percentage of their resident classes from the people that rotate with them. So if you have, a reach program, a top program that you want to go to, try and apply for a rotation there, because it's going to be much more likely that you get an interview and even match to that program if they're able to evaluate you for a whole month and get to see what you're like as a resident at their program. Next question is, when should you rotate? Ideally, as soon as you're done taking your boards in the summer, get those 2 general EM rotations out of the way. You need your 2 E-slowies, which are your general EM letters of rec, by the time that you apply through ERAS for residency, which is at the end of September. For us, we submitted on September 25th. You needed those 2 in. Technically, you only need 1. You can be expecting another, but just make sure that you inform the programs you're applying to that you're expecting another one to come. And most programs require 3 letters of rec. You can submit up to 4, but most are going to require 2 to 3. 2 general EM, you can add on a supplemental letter of rec from any other specialty, someone that knows you well, and those would just be an off-service letter or a subspecialty letter if you're doing a subspecialty rotation like ultrasound at a different institution that has a residency program. With all that being said, you want to get your rotations done June, July, August, ideally. You can do one later than that, but it's going to take a lot more communication on your end to let the residency programs know that they should be expecting another letter from you. I think that, I can't say for sure, but I only had 2 letters of rec in when I submitted, and there were some programs that in their applications say that they required 3 letters. And so my application may have been screened out from them simply for not having it be complete in their eyes. And when my 3rd letter came down the road, I reached out to a few programs that I was really interested in to let them know. But I think that had I had those 3 letters earlier, I probably would have gotten more interviews. So how did you choose which programs to do AWAYS at? Again, for me, it was primarily based on my life circumstances at the time, but really take a look at the programs that you think you might want to attend for residency and then try and diversify things. I ironically just ended up doing a rotation at a county program, an academic program, and a community program. I would recommend it to everybody because there's definitely things that are different between the different types. And I found out things that I loved and things that I didn't really like, and I wouldn't have been able to do that without the rotation experience. And then really think about the area of the country. It might not be, you might not get a rotation at the specific program that you're super interested in, but if you can get near the city and be able to explore that while you're there, that could be super helpful as well. And then some people have asked what rotations you should do besides EM in your 4th year. And I would say your fall should be kind of loaded with, emergency medicine, subspecialty emergency medicine, things that are emergency medicine adjacent, like anesthesia, radiology, critical care. But when it comes to the spring, you're not going to be able to learn things that you might be able to learn things that will help you excel in residency, but you're not going to learn the things that are going to be needed in residency nearly as well as you will learn them in residency. And the last thing I want to touch on is letters of rec. This is going to deserve an entire video of its own, but there are kind of 3 letters of rec for emergency medicine. One is the E-SLOE, E-S-L-O-E. I don't know what the E stands for. Electronic Standardized Letter of Evaluation. That is what you're going to get from your audition, away, sub-I rotations. Those are going to be the big ones that are the most important when you're applying to residency. The next type is a subspecialty SLOE. So if you do any subspecialty in emergency medicine at a program that has an emergency medicine residency, they will complete a subspecialty SLOE for you to use in your application. And then if you get a rotation at anywhere that doesn't have a program or that has something other than emergency medicine that you're rotating in, you'll do an O SLOE or off-service SLOE, and that will be included. So you need 2 E SLOEs by the end of September. You're probably gonna need 3 letters of rec total for most programs, and you can only submit 4 at any one program. Lastly, I'm gonna include in the description links to the EMRA advising guide that I used when I was going through this process and in getting together the information for this video, and then also that AMA or the AAMC immunization form will be linked down below as well. I'm gonna try and continue doing videos about the application process and everything that goes into it in the coming months, kind of in line with the rising 3rd/4th years as they go through it. But if you have any specific questions about applying to emergency medicine, let me know in the comments and I'll address it in a future video. I'll catch you in the next one.